Hey everyone, today we're on a Boeing 777 flying China Airlines from San Francisco to Taipei. And today we're talking about credit card points, how you can make the most of them, and how I booked this flight, and also going to give you a little bit of recap on the flight. So right now we're in the China Airlines business lounge on our layover in Taipei on our way to Hanoi. But before we go into the flight recap from SFO, I just wanted to talk a little bit about credit card points because that's how we booked this. You know, I would never be able to afford it if we paid in cash. But for this flight, I paid in total 233,000 Air France miles flying blue and $318 in taxes and fees. Have the Capital One Venture X business card, use it for pretty much everything, gets double points on every purchase. I'm going to put the link in the description down below. But instead of redeeming for like cash back or having like a Southwest card, you know, no offense to Southwest, but you can get these points and fly on these flights that otherwise you'd never be able to afford. And then what I do with those Capital One miles is transfer them to Flying Blue and then book a flight on China Airlines through Flying Blue. So I know it's a lot of steps, but and a lot of points. But also you want to take as much advantage of the sign-up bonuses as you can, because that is how you're really going to build the amount of points that you have. And I've been really into credit cards and points and everything like that for over like 10 years now. So kind of know my ways in and out of everything, but you just want to maximize the value that you're getting from your points because they're worth more than just 1 cent for cash back on your statement. I'm doing a video, stop it. What you got there, babe? For me, it's worth spending this many points on one flight just because it makes the whole experience a little bit funner, and it's a long flight. I think it's almost 14 hours, so it's worth it. And also, SFO Lounge, step it up because the lounge was weak. After security, we had a little bit of time to kill, so we went to the Air China Lounge at SFO, and obviously it's not going to be as nice as the one in their home airport. I was kidding about that. Here's a little overview of the lounge. It really just had, you know, the bare basics, some food and drink, a little buffet of different options that you could choose from. They had some pretty slow Wi-Fi, and it was actually pretty crowded. I think that there were a lot of flights taking off at the same time. They also had a noodle bar. That's what I got to eat before our flight. And something I hadn't seen before, they actually had an open bar where you're able to mix your own drinks and pour your own alcohol, which I thought was interesting. Usually they have somebody making drinks so they can control the pours, but you know, you can get a nice couple drinks going on before your flight if you wanted to. After a quick stay in the lounge, it was time to head to our gate. So this was China Airlines flight number 3 on their Boeing 777 from San Francisco to Taipei. Departure time is 11:40 p.m. with arrival 5:45 the next morning in Taipei. Then we have a quick layover in Taipei and we continue on to Vietnam. Like I said, this flight is on their 777. There are 40 business class seats, 62 premium economy, and 256 economy seats. It seemed like it was going to be a pretty full flight from what I could tell. The business class seats are in a 1-to-1 configuration, which is nice because then every seat has direct aisle access. We were in seats 12D and 12G, which are the middle seats. I booked these because then we can talk more than if we both had an aisle seat. From the very start, customer service was great. We got greeted onto the plane, and also the first flight attendant that greeted me, she addressed me by my name and offered to make the bed because as a late overnight flight, she knew that right after dinner, we were going to want to get some sleep in. So I really appreciated that. Before I even sat down, my bed was made and me and my wife were happy. Here's a little bit of an overview of the seat. Touchscreen video screen. I really like the wood paneling on the interior. Makes it look really nice. To be honest, the in-flight entertainment is a little bit outdated. There wasn't very many options to choose from, but it will do. I didn't really watch it too much. Here we have a storage compartment for the amenity kit, which has a lot of the basics that you might need during the flight, like a comb, toothbrush, mouthwash, earplugs, face mask, and it also came with a nice leather luggage tag, which I kept for future. Put that back where it belongs. Here's a close-up of the cute personal lamp that you get. You also have a reading light here in the corner for your convenience. Got the touchscreen controls for the seat to make it go down and go up. And then an additional storage compartment to your side. It has some reusable slippers if you want to take your shoes off. A water bottle. It's not cold, but it's nice to have one as an extra. And then also a remote control to control the screen if you don't want to use the touch screen. And then there's also a charging port. Here's the cubby for the storage. Put my bag underneath and then your feet well above it. Right after boarding, we got a welcome drink in our menu. I went with water because it was such a late flight. Went over what I wanted, put our order in. Here's the tray table that you can move and extend as needed. It has a little latch on the bottom so you can adjust it. And for the menu options, they had an Asian and a Western option for both breakfast and dinner, along with dessert. Greeted with a hot towel, which is always a nice touch. Wipe down the surfaces of the seat. Then before takeoff, we put in our order with the flight attendant. I skipped the smoked salmon appetizer. That just didn't sound good to me at the time. And then I went with the fried rice with chicken. Pretty much right after we took off and got to cruising altitude, they got started on the meal service. Something that really elevates your in-flight dining experience is a tablecloth. I love that touch. It just makes the food taste better. Here's a quick overview of the first tray. Have a nice salad, an asparagus soup, and a couple rolls of bread with butter. I was a really big fan of the soup actually. I ate all of that, and then usually I try to eat the bread that they give just because it helps me feel full because I don't want to be feeling hungry throughout the flight. And then it was time for the main course, the fried rice with the chicken. Honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I just ate a little bit of it. But no matter what, after dinner, there's always room for dessert, so had to stay awake for that. It was a 2-part dessert, a fruit tray. Everything on that was good. It was basic, just some grapes and melon. And it was a lemon meringue tart with some raspberry sauce or frosting on the side, which was also really good. After dinner service, quick trip to the bathroom. I took a video just to show you what it's like. I mean, it's really just a standard airplane bathroom, maybe a little bit cleaner because less people use it, but there's really nothing special about it. And in the back section of the plane, we had some snacks, some cup of noodles, and other things that you could just take as you please. And now with about 12 and a half hours left on the flight, time to turn my seat into a bed, lay back, relax, put on my sleep mask, and it's time for lights out. Just woke up from a lovely 7-hour nap. Slept really good, bed was really comfortable. Now it's time to get a little bit of work done. We've got about 5 hours left on the flight. Wi-Fi was not free on this flight. I had to pay $22 for an unlimited pass, and it did not ever work on my phone. I kept trying to get it to connect just so I could receive incoming emails and text messages, but I could not get it to work. But when I connected my laptop, luckily I was able to get it to run, so I was able to get a solid amount of work done. It wasn't the fastest internet, but plenty for checking emails, putting in orders, sending text messages. It was enough to get the job done. And with about 2 hours left of flight time, it was time for breakfast. It was a really light, simple breakfast, which I liked. Some fruit, had a tiny little omelet, a little bit of sides, and then a bowl of congee, which I am a big fan of, and a plain dinner roll. So really simple breakfast, but it was also really light. So perfect way to wake up in the morning. Overall, the food on the flight was good, not great. I mean, I don't have any complaints about it by any means, but nothing really stood out to me as being really good. And part of it, I'm sure, has to do with the timing, because we got served dinner at, it was 2:30 or so in the morning, and then getting served breakfast after being on a plane for 12 hours. Hard to make anything taste that good. The rest of the flight really flew by. Before we knew it, we were landing in Taipei. It was time for our layover to catch our next flight to Vietnam. The service throughout the whole flight was excellent from all the flight attendants. The bed was really comfortable, plenty of space. I got a ton of sleep. Again, there wasn't a lot of entertainment options, which is fine because I didn't need any. It was a red eye, so I slept pretty much the whole time. Another perk about flying business class is the time that you save. You know, you're first on the plane, first off the plane, so it beats a lot of people to the customs line. But really overall, they just tailor everything so that you have a better experience. There are a lot of different connections you can take from Taipei. So if you ever need to get to somewhere in Southeast Asia and you have this option to take as a flight as your layover, or even directly to Taipei, I definitely recommend it. The flight was good, the service was great, and it flew by. I know today's video was a little bit different than what I normally put out, but if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and let me know if you want videos like this in the future. Next week, back to our normally scheduled porta potty content. Until then, thank you for watching.